Hi guys, my name is Shaper and this is the Renoise tutorial, what is it? Workflow. The Renoise workflow tutorial part 2. What I'm going to do with this tutorial is I'm going to break down the process of building a track into segments, that way you can see exactly how I go about assembling a track. And hopefully you'll be able to follow and replicate what I'm doing. Okay, this is what we're going to be building today. Okay, so I'm going to start building up the track now, and to do that I'm going to enable the metronome first so I can hear what I'm doing. Got it set to about 125 by default. I'm going to set it to 140 BPM. Obviously I'm assuming you know the basics of Renoise. Okay, so I'm just going to select a bass drum. I've got like a whole bunch of bass drums here in this folder. I've got my samples here, and here are all my bass drums. I'm going to go with one of them, this one, put it on the first line, and then I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop. That way everything I'm going to build is going to be within that loop, and then I'm going to just copy and paste that loop further down. So I'm just going to figure out what bass drum pattern I want now. Alright, so I'm going to stick with that, and now I'm going to select a snare, that way I can have like a two-step beat. A whole bunch of snares, some of them are quite terrible. That way. No. Kind of. I'm just going to go with this one. Basic two-step bass drum snare pattern. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hats in there. And got my hats here. Okay, so I'm going to put my my hi-hat now, and I'm just going to start with putting it every 4 lines. There's a shortcut to do this, which in my case is Control 4, and that increments the notes by 4 lines. Therefore, all I have to do is this, and I've got my 4 notes in there. I can remove the metronome, don't need it. It's a very kind of square beat. I want to make it groove a little bit, so I'm just going to mess around with the pattern on the hats. Oops. Just going to put another hat. Does that count as a hat? I don't know. And now what I'm doing is I'm just basically taking apart what I've built and just kind of messing with it to see what I come up with. Snare would go there. Okay, so I've got like a basic kind of loop right now. It's not sounding great because, well, all of it is just on the master. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sidechain it now. And to do that, I am going to send all of these tracks into send here, and then I'm going to use a signal follower on the bass drum, and I'm going to use that to reduce the volume on the send track, so as to get kind of like a pumping effect. To do that, all I have to do, quite simply, is to insert a send on each track. So all of this is being routed here now, except for the bass drum. And on the bass track I'm going to put a signal follower. So there we have it, signal follower, and I'm going to set the destination to send track, mixer. I'm going to, first off, I'm going to reduce the volume because otherwise it'll blow your brains out. Mixer, assign that to volume and put that to 0. This to like -4, so basically when the bass drum hits it's going to go to minus like 3.8 dB. And to witness this in action, all I have to do is to click on this, and now I'm on the send track, and if you look at the volume, then you can adjust the sensitivity, the scaling. The effect you want, basically. And that gives you a lot more room to build your beat, basically. Okay, so we've done like the beginning now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for like a synth line, and I've got a bunch of synths here. Again, it's all about trial and error. Just experiment. Just, you know, grab a few samples. I've got all sorts of things. I use a lot of VSTs as well, VSTIs, but I haven't got time to do that now, so I just rendered a bunch of samples, and I've got libraries as well. You can find them online, obviously. Oh, what was that? That's sweet. Okay. So I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the bass drum pattern. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to send that to the send, and that way it's going to duck under the bass drum. Now the thing is, you might notice, is that there isn't enough contrast with the snare, like the snare's not actually standing out yet enough. And the reason for that is it's not sidechained either. So what I can do is, instead of feeding it into the send, I'm actually going to use it to control a gain on the send, on the same send. So I'm just going to add a gain, and I'm going to use another signal follower, map that to the send gainer gain, and 0 -2. So when the snare hits, it's going to duck to like -2. So you'll be able to watch that here. That's not a dramatic effect, but if I reduce that, just play around with it, really. So there you go. I've got my basic sidechain on the snare and the bass drum. I've got a little stab. And now comes the experimentation phase. This is where I just like spend ages just trying to figure out like a melody. I'm just gonna like put this. listen to it by itself, it's just like a synth sound. It's very low, so I'm gonna put it like an octave up, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna down pitch it a little bit. Beer. Right, so what I'm gonna get is like a proper like beer. So I'm just gonna increase that by like put 5 A and 14 hexadecimal. So get this. Beer. Okay, now it's time to copy what I've done in my loop, put that in the whole pattern. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the first 16 lines, I'm then copying it, Control C, positioning myself on the 16th line, pasting it, and 32nd line, pasting it, 48th line, pasting it again. So I've got my whole pattern now, so I can remove the loop. Oops, sorry, I can remove the loop I had going here, and I can hear the whole pattern. It's going to be the same anyway, but right, so I'm happy with this bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the pattern. I'm going to clone the pattern, that way I can mess around with it and not fuck this up. So there you go, I've cloned it, and I'm going to go back to my first pattern now, and I'm going to see, I'm trying to make a couple of variations on that. Right, so what I'm going to do is I've copied this section, and I'm just going to paste it on 48 a few times just to see if I can get some kind of, I can just play around with it, kind of like a boom boom thing going. It's going to sound like this. Alright, so that's shit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a kick on the first line on 48. And now I'm thinking maybe I should be going on a do-do, get a couple, like trigger it twice within that time. Do-do. No, it's there. Okay. I want to get a down, 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 starting with an offbeat. Alright, so for it to make sense, I want to repeat this same pattern a couple times. And I'm not actually worrying about what sound is going where at this point, I'm just going with it. So I'm just going to put this here. I'm not technically like organising them in specific tracks, like grouping all the same sounds in the same tracks. I'm going to worry about that when I get to it. I think it's good to be, I'm just trying to go with the inspiration right now, to go with the flow, and then figure out all the EQing and all that kind of refining, all that process. I'll do that later. good to have a mental image of what you're doing. Alright, I'm thinking, I like this little bit I did here with the melody. I'll just play the correct track. But I think the beat should follow that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rearrange the bass and snare for it to follow that, to have a bit more kind of dynamic. To be like boom boom chak chak boom boom chak, boom boom and snare. There you go. That's nice, that's really kicking, I like that. What the fuck next? Okay, I made a really nice, quite a nice beat, I'm quite happy with it at this stage. Now I need to evolve, I need a second phase to my beat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that, and I'm going to start by looking for a different sound, and let me just see what I can come up with here. So I'm going to start with not a blank canvas, but I'm going to remove like all the tonal elements. So I've only got the beat left. Now obviously that, I mean I'm going pretty quick with it now. I could refine that and make it groove a bit more, put a bit more percussion. There's only like one hat in there. So obviously I could refine that. I'm not going to do that now, but what I'm looking for now is a sound. Let me see. Oh, I like that. Bit of darkness. Okay, so I'm just freestyling completely. Got this idea. I'm just going to clip the notes before. Put a pitch down on this one. I'm going to combine two effects on this. I'm going to pitch it down and cut it, so it's going to be like a short kind of sound. Probably a little too short, so I'm just going to increase that. What I like to do when I have the second phase of beats is to mess around with the beat itself, so to actually change its structure. That way you have kind of a second state where you can kind of, you know, go to and from. So I'm going to go for a dubsteppy kind of vibe now, I guess. There you go, I want the snare exactly there. That has to go. If I could get an open hat in there, that'd be kind of cool, it would air it out a bit. I'm just going to try and find a hat. Just going to note off there. Another good way to make it groove, obviously, is to use the groove settings feature, which is always of a great help. So I'm going to set it on 30%. This is without, and I exaggerate it, you will definitely hear it. I'm going to keep that on because that is nice. So same thing again. I'm just going to copy paste a few times. I'm going to leave the last section because I've got my like funky little thing going here. Got my second melody. I've changed my beats around so it has a different structure. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to like add a breakbeat, and just to give it a bit of groove to let it flow a little bit. And I've got a whole bunch of these here. I'm just going to, you know, basically just go with whatever. Put it on the first line, sync it, 16 lines, 6, what is it? And sounds shit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of make it groove with the beat. So instead of, because obviously the structure of the breakbeats is completely different to that of the beats. So I'm just going to get it to groove. And to do that, I am going to replicate kind of the structure of the beat itself, the one I built before. And now I'm going to put a snare, which is, I'm just going to mute all the rest. There you go. It's usually around, using the offset command S, and it's usually around 40 if it's a 4 bar. What is it? Okay. And I'm just going to cut the end of the notes there, so it has a bit more of a groove, and loop that over again. It's probably not the best break, so I'm going to try another one, see what it sounds like with the rest. That's pretty cool. I'm going to add a blockfish in there. That's a compressor. It's a very cool one. I use it a lot. I really like it. Just going to use my usual preset. Just I'm going to go back to the beginning. I simplified the first pattern so I can have kind of an intro phase. So I'm just going to build up the second part. Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm going to put some, I'm just going to take the first pattern now, copy it and clone it, put the brakes on it as well, just to see what that sounds like. much EQing. In fact, there's been no EQing so far, and the reason for that is I prefer to go with the kind of the flow of the ideas I get, and then I kind of clean it up and tidy it all up. In this instance, for example, the breakbeat obviously clashes with certain frequencies and stuff. So I want certain aspects of the break to stand out, like for example all the shakers and hats and stuff. And then again, maybe I want another break. And there you have it. I've assembled a track. It's got an intro. And it's got a middle section. It's got a second part. And there you have it. It's pretty much a lot of EQing and balancing after that. All the arrangement comes into play, and that's where you build a track, giving it momentum, giving it kind of like a proper structure. But you've got the main blocks with this, and that's all you need to take it and to blow it up into like a full, like whatever 3-minute tune. And that's it. So I hope this tutorial was a little bit, was a bit easier than the first one. And if you've got any questions, please let me know, and please subscribe.